The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Arise, and go down to the potter's house, and there I will cause you to hear my words. Then I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he was making something on the wheels. When the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hands of the potter, he made it again, another vessel, as seemed good to the potter to make it. Then Yahweh's word came to me, saying, House of Israel, can't I do with you as this potter? Says Yahweh. Behold, as the clay in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand, house of Israel. At the instant I speak concerning the nation. At the instant I speak concerning the nation, and concerning a kingdom, to pluck up, and to break down, and to destroy it. If that nation, concerning which I have spoken, turns from their evil, I will repay the evil that I thought to do to them. At the instant I speak concerning a nation, and concerning a kingdom, to build it and to plant it. If they do that which is evil in my sight, they will not obey my voice. Then I will repent of the good with which I said I would benefit them. Now therefore, speak to the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, Yahweh says, Behold, I frame evil against you, and devise a plan against you. Everyone return from his evil way now, and amend your ways and your doings. But they say, It is in vain, for we will walk after our own plans, and we will each follow the stubbornness of his own heart. Therefore Yahweh says, Ask now among nations, who has heard such a thing? The Virgin of Israel has done a very horrible thing. Will the snow of Lebanon fail from the rock of the field? Will the cold waters that flow down from afar be dried up? For my people have forgotten me. They have burned incense to false gods. They have been made to stumble in their ways, in the ancient paths, to walk in byways, in a way not built up, to make their land an astonishment and a perpetual hissing. Everyone who passes by will be astonished and shake his head. I will scatter them as with an east wind before the enemy. I will show them the back and not the face in the day of their calamity. Then they say, Come, let's devise plans against Jeremiah, for the law won't perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word of the prophet. Come, and let us strike him with the tongue, and let's give heed to none of his words. Give heed to me, Yahweh, and listen to the voice of those who contend with me. Should evil be recompensed for good? For they have dug a pit for my soul. Remember how I stood before you to speak good for them, to turn away your wrath from them. Therefore deliver up their children to the famine, and give them over to the power of the sword. Let their wives become childless and widows. Let their men be killed, and their young men struck by sword in battle. Let a cry be heard from their houses, when you bring a troop suddenly on them, for they have dug a pit to take me, and hidden snares for my feet. Yet, Yahweh, you know all their counsel against me to kill me. Don't forgive their iniquity. Don't blot out their sin from your sight. Let them be overthrown before you. Deal with them in the time of your anger. Thus said Yahweh, Go and buy a potter's earthen container, and take some of the elders of the people, and of the elders of the priests, and go out to the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the gate Harseth, and proclaim there the words that I will tell you. Say, hear Yahweh's words, King of Judah, and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, Behold, I will bring evil on this place, which whoever hears, his ear will tingle, because they have forsaken me, and have defiled this place, and have burned incense in it to other gods that they didn't know, they, their fathers, and the kings of Judah, and have filled this place with the blood of innocents, and have built the high places of Baal, to burn their children in the fire for burnt offerings to Baal, which I didn't command, nor speak, which didn't even enter into my mind. Therefore, behold the days to come, says Yahweh, that this place will no more be called Topheth, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. I will make the counsel of Judah and Jerusalem void in this place. I will cause them to fall by the sword before their enemies, and by the hand of those who seek their life I will give their dead bodies to be food for the birds of the sky, and for the animals of the earth. I will make this city an astonishment and a hissing. Everyone who passes by it will be astonished and hiss because of all its plagues. I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters. They will each eat the flesh of his friend in the siege, and in the distress with which their enemies and those who seek their life will distress them. Then you shall break the container in the sight of the men who go with you, and shall tell them, Yahweh of armies says, Even so I will break this people and this city, as one breaks a potter's vessel that can't be made whole again. They will bury in Topheth until there is no place to bury. This is what I will do to this place, says Yahweh, and to its inhabitants, even making this city as Topheth. The houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah, which are defiled, will be as the place of Topheth, even all the houses on whose roofs they have burned incense to all the army of the sky, and have poured out drink offerings to other gods. Then Jeremiah came from Topheth, where Yahweh had sent him to prophesy, and he stood in the court of Yahweh's house, and said to the people, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, Behold, I will bring on this city, and on all its towns, all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have made their neck stiff, that they may not hear my words. Now, Pashur, the son of Emer the priest, who was chief official in Yahweh's house, heard Jeremiah prophesying these things. Then Pashur struck Jeremiah the prophet, and put him in the stocks that were in the upper gate of Benjamin, which was in Yahweh's house. On the next day, Pashur released Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then Jeremiah said to him, Yahweh has not called your name Pashur, but Mega-Missabib. For Yahweh says, Behold, I will make you a terror to yourself and to all your friends. They will fall by the sword of their enemies, and your eyes will see it. I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will carry them captive to Babylon, and will kill them with the sword. Moreover, I will give all the riches of this city, and all its gains, and all its precious things. Yes, I will give all the treasures of the king of Judah into the hands of their enemies. They will make them captives, take them, and carry them to Babylon. You, Pashur, and all who dwell in your house will go into captivity. You will come to Babylon, and there you will die, and there you will be buried, you and all your friends to whom you have falsely prophesied. Yahweh, you have persuaded me, and I was persuaded. You are stronger than I, and have prevailed. I have become a laughingstock all day. Everyone mocks me. For as often as I speak, I cry out. I cry, violence and destruction, because Yahweh's word has been made a reproach to me, and a derision all day. If I say that I will not make mention of him or speak any more in his name, then there is in my heart as if it were a burning fire shut up in my bones. I am weary with holding it in. I can't, for I have heard the defaming of many. Terror on every side. Denounce, and we will denounce him, say all my familiar friends, those who watch for my fall. Perhaps he will be persuaded, and we will prevail against him, and we will take our revenge on him. But Yahweh is with me as an awesome mighty one. Therefore my persecutors will stumble, and they won't prevail. They will be utterly disappointed, because they have not dealt wisely, even with an everlasting dishonour, which will never be forgotten. But Yahweh of armies, who tests the righteous, who sees the heart and the mind, let me see your vengeance on them, for I have revealed my cause to you. Sing to Yahweh, praise Yahweh, for he has delivered the soul of the needy from the hand of the evildoers. Cursed is the day in which I was born. Don't let the day in which my mother bore me blessed. Cursed is the man who brought news to my father, saying, a boy is born to you, making him very glad. Let that man be as the cities which Yahweh overthrew and didn't repent. Let him hear a cry in the morning and shouting at noontime, because he didn't kill me from my womb, so my mother would have been my grave, and her womb always great. Why did I come out of the womb to see labour and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame? The word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, when King Zedekiah said to him, Pashur the son of Malchijah, and Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, saying, Please inquire of Yahweh for us, for Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon makes war against us. Perhaps Yahweh will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may withdraw from us. Then Jeremiah said to them, Tell Zedekiah, Yahweh the God of Israel says, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, with which you fight against the king of Babylon, and against the Chaldeans who besiege you outside the walls, and I will gather them into the middle of this city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched arm, and with a strong hand, even in anger, in wrath and in great indignation. I will strike the inhabitants of this city, both man and animal. They will die of a great pestilence. Afterward, says Yahweh, I will deliver Zedekiah king of Judah, his servants, and the people, even those who are left in this city, from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life. He will strike them with the edge of the sword. He will not spare them. Have pity, or have mercy. You shall say to this people, Yahweh says, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in the city will die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he who goes out and passes over to the Chaldeans who besiege you, he will live, and he will escape with his life. For I have set my face on this city for evil and not for good, says Yahweh. It will be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he will burn it with fire. Concerning the house of the king of Judah, hear Yahweh's word. House of David, Yahweh says, Execute justice in the morning, and deliver him who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor. lest my wrath go out like fire, and burn so that no one can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Behold, I am against you, O inhabitant of the valley, and of the rock of the plain, says Yahweh. You say that, who would come down against us, or would enter into our homes? I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, says Yahweh, and I will kindle a fire in her forest, and it will devour all that is around her. Yahweh said, Go down to the house of the king of Judah, and speak his word there. Hear Yahweh's word, King of Judah, who sits on David's throne, you, your servants, and your people who enter in by these gates. Yahweh says, Execute righteousness and justice, and deliver him who is robbed out of the hand of the oppressor. Do no wrong, do no violence to the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow. Don't shed innocent blood in this place. For if you do this thing, indeed, then kings sitting on David's throne will enter in by the gates of this house, riding in chariots and on horses, they, their servants, and their people. But if you will not hear these words, I swear by myself, says Yahweh, that this house will become a desolation. For Yahweh says concerning the house of the king of Judah, You are Gilead to me, the head of Lebanon, yet surely I will make you a wilderness, cities which are not inhabited. I will prepare destroyers against you, everyone with his weapons, and they will cut down your choice cedars and cast them in the fire. Many nations will pass by this city, and they will ask his neighbor, Why has Yahweh done to this great city? Then they will answer, Because they abandoned the covenant of Yahweh, their God, worshipped other gods, and served them. Don't weep for the dead, don't bemoan him, but weep bitterly for him who goes away, for he will return no more, and not see his native country. For Yahweh says, touching Shallum, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, who reigned instead of Josiah his father, who went out of this place, he won't return there any more, but he will die in the place where they have led him captive. He will see this land no more. Woe to him who builds his house by unrighteousness, and his rooms by injustice, who uses his neighbor's service without wages, and for himself with a cedar ceiling and painted with red. Should you reign because you strive to excel in cedar? Didn't your father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it was well with him. He judged the causes of the poor and needy. So then it was well. Wasn't this to know me? Says Yahweh. But your eyes and your heart are only for your covetousness, for shedding innocent blood, for oppression, and for doing violence. Therefore Yahweh says concerning Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, they won't lament for him, saying, Ah, my brother, or Ah, sister. They won't lament for him, saying, Ah, Lord, or Ah, his glory. He will be buried with the burial of a donkey, drawn and cast out beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry out. Lift up your voice in Bashan, and cry from Abamia, for all your lovers have been destroyed. I spoke to you in your prosperity, but you said, I will not listen. This has been your way from your youth, that you didn't want to obey my voice. The wind will feed all your shepherds, and your lovers will go into captivity. Surely then you will be ashamed and confounded for all your wickedness. Inhabitants of Lebanon, who make your nest in the cedars, how greatly to be pitied you will be when pangs come on you, the pains as of a woman in travail. As I live, says Yahweh, though Coniah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, were the signet on my right hand, I would still pluck you from there. I would give you into the hand of those who seek your life, and into the hand of them whom you are afraid of, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of the Chaldeans. I will cast you out with your mother who bore you into another country, where you were not born, and there you will die. But to the land to which their soul longs to return, there they will not return. Is this man Coniah a despised, broken vessel? Is he a vessel in which no one delights? Why are they cast out, he and his offspring, and cast into a land which they didn't know? O earth, 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 hear Yahweh's word. Yahweh says, record this man as childless, a man who will not prosper in his days. For no more will a man of his offspring prosper, sitting on David's throne and ruling in Judah. Woe to the shepherds who destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says Yahweh. Therefore Yahweh the God of Israel says against the shepherds who feed my people, you have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit on you the evil of your doings, says Yahweh. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they will be fruitful and multiply. I will set up shepherds over them who will feed them. They will no longer be afraid or dismayed, neither will any be lacking, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will raise to David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king and deal wisely, and will execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days Judah will be saved, and Israel will dwell safely. This is his name by which he will be called, Yahweh our righteous. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that they will be no more. They will no more say, as Yahweh lives, who brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but as Yahweh lives, who brought up and who led the offspring of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries where I had driven them. Then they will dwell in their own land. Concerning the prophets. My heart within me is broken. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine has overcome, because of Yahweh and because of his holy words. For the land is full of adulterers. For because of the curse of the land mourns. The pastures of the wilderness have dried up. Their course is evil, and their might is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yes, in my house I have found their wickedness. says Yahweh. Therefore their way will be to them as slippery places in the darkness. They will be driven on and fall therein. For I will bring evil on them, even the year of their visitation, says Yahweh. I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied by Baal, and caused my people Israel to err. In the prophets of Jerusalem I have also seen a horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen the house of evildoers, so that no one returns from his wickedness. They have all become to me as Sodom, and as its inhabitants, as Gomorrah. Therefore Yahweh of armies says concerning the prophets, Behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink poisoned water. For from the prophets of Jerusalem ungodliness has gone out into all the land. Yahweh of armies says, Don't listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They teach you vanity, and speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yahweh. They say continually to those who despise me, Yahweh has said, You will have peace. And to everyone who walks in the stubbornness of his own heart, they say, No evil will come on you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahweh, that he should perceive and hear his words? Who has listened to my word and heard it? Behold, Yahweh's storm, his wrath, has gone out, yes, a whirling storm. It will burst on the head of the wicked. Yahweh's anger will not return until he has executed and performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you will understand it perfectly. I didn't send these prophets, yet they ran. I didn't speak to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then they would have caused my people to hear my words, and would have turned them away from their evil ways, and from the evil of their doings. Am I a God at hand, says Yahweh, and not a God afar off? Can anyone hide himself in secret places so that I can't see him, says Yahweh? Don't I fill heaven and earth, says Yahweh? I have heard what the prophets have said, who prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have a dream, I had a dream. How long will this be in the heart of the prophets who prophesy lies, even the prophets of the deceit of his own heart? They intend to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they each tell his neighbor, as their fathers forget my name because of Baal. The prophet who has a dream, let him tell a dream, and he who has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the straw to the wheat, says Yahweh? Isn't my word like fire, says Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, who each steal my words from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, who use their tongues and say, He says. Behold, I am against those who prophesy lying dreams, says Yahweh, who tell them and cause my people to err by their lies. and by their vain boasting. Yet I didn't send them or command them. They don't profit this people at all, says Yahweh. When this people, or the prophet or a priest, asks you, saying, "What is this message from Yahweh?" then you shall tell them, "What message? I will cast you off," says Yahweh. When this people, or the prophet, or a priest, asks you, saying, "What is the message from Yahweh?" then you shall tell them, "What message? I will cast you off," says Yahweh. As for the prophet, the priest, and the people who say, "This message from Yahweh," I will even punish that man and his household. You will say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, "What has Yahweh answered? And what has Yahweh said?" You will mention the message from Yahweh no more, for every man's own word has become his message, for you have perverted the words of the living God, of Yahweh of armies, our God. You will say to the prophet, "What has Yahweh answered you?" and "What has Yahweh spoken?" Although you say, "The message from Yahweh," therefore Yahweh says, because you say this word, "The message from Yahweh," and I have sent you to you, telling you not to say the message from Yahweh. Therefore, behold, I will utterly forget you. And I will cast you off with the city that I gave you, and I gave to your fathers, away from my presence. I will bring an everlasting reproach on you, and a perpetual shame, which will not be forgotten. Yahweh showed me, and behold, 2 baskets of figs were sent before Yahweh's temple, after Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim king of Judah, and the princes of Judah with the craftsmen and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babylon. 1 basket had very good figs, like the figs that are first ripe, and the other basket had very bad figs, which could not be eaten, they were so bad. Then Yahweh asked me, "What do you see, Jeremiah?" I said, "Figs. The good figs are very good, and the bad figs are very bad, so bad that they can't be eaten." Yahweh's word came to me, saying, "Yahweh the God of Israel says, like these good figs, so will I regard the captives of Judah, whom I have sent out of this place into the land of the Chaldeans, as good. For I will set my eyes on them for good. I will bring them again to this land. I will build them up, and not pull them down. I will plant them, and not pluck them up. I will give them a heart to know me, that I am Yahweh. They will be my people, and I will be their God. For they will return to me with their whole hearts. As bad figs which can't be eaten, they are so bad. Surely Yahweh says, so I will give up Zedekiah the king of Judah, and his princes, and the remnant of Jerusalem, to remain in this land. And those who dwell in the land of Egypt, I will even give them up to be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth, for evil to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places where I will drive them. I will send the sword, the famine, and the pestilence among them, until they are consumed from off the land that I gave them and to their fathers. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah. This was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, which Jeremiah the prophet spoke to all the people of Judah, and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. From the 13th year of Josiah the son of Amon, king of Judah, even to this day, these 23 years, Yahweh's word has come to me, and I have spoken to you, rising up early and speaking, but you have not listened. Yahweh has sent to you all his servants, his prophets, rising up early and sending them, but you have not listened, or inclined your ear to hear, saying, Return now, everyone, from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Yahweh has given to you, to your fathers, from the age of old, and even forevermore. Don't go after other gods to serve them, or to worship them, and don't provoke me to anger with the work of your hands. Then I will do you no harm. Yet you have not listened to me, says Yahweh, that you may provoke me to anger with the work of your hands, to your own hurt. Therefore Yahweh of armies says, Because you have not heard my words, behold, I will send, and take all the families of the north, says Yahweh, and I will send to Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon my servant, and will bring them against the land, and against its inhabitants, and against all these nations around. I will utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and hissing, and perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth, and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the lamp. This whole land will be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations will serve the king of Babylon 70 years. It will happen when the 70 years are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, says Yahweh, for their iniquity. I will make the land of the Chaldeans desolate forever. I will bring on that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah has prophesied against all the nations. For many nations and great kings I will make bondservants of them, even of them. I will recompense them according to their deeds, and according to the work of their hands. For Yahweh the God of Israel says, Take this cup of the wine of wrath from my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send you to drink it. They will drink and reel back and forth, and be insane, because of the sword that I will send among them. Then I took the cup at Yahweh's hand, and made all the nations to drink, to whom Yahweh had sent me. Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, with its kings and its princes, to make them a desolation, an astonishment, a hissing, and a curse, as it is today. Pharaoh king of Egypt with his servants, his princes, and all his people, and all the mixed people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, all the kings of the Philistines, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyre, all the kings of Sidon, all the kings of the isle which is set before the sea, Dedan, Tema, Buz, and all who have the corners of their beard cut off, and all the kings of Arabia, all the kings of the mixed people who dwell in the wilderness, and all the kings of Zimri, all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are on the surface of the earth. The king Sheshach will drink after them. You shall tell them, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, drink and be drunk, vomit, fall, and rise no more, because of the sword which I will send among you. It shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at your hand to drink, then you shall tell them, Yahweh of armies says, you shall surely drink. For behold, I begin to work evil at the city, which is called by my name, and should you be utterly punished, you will not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword on all the inhabitants of the earth, says Yahweh of armies. Therefore prophesy against them all these words, and tell them, Yahweh will roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He will mightily roar against his fold. He will give a shout, as those who tread grapes, against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise will come even to the end of the earth, for Yahweh has a controversy with the nations. He will enter into judgment with all flesh. As for the wicked, he will give them to the sword, says Yahweh. Yahweh of armies says, behold, evil will go out from Yahweh will be at that day from one end of the earth even to the other end of the earth. They won't be lamented. They won't be gathered or buried. They will be dung on the surface of the ground. Wail, you shepherds, and cry. Wallow in dust, you leader of the flock, for the days of your slaughter and of your dispersions have fully come, and you will fall like fine pottery. The shepherds will have no way to flee. The leader of the flock will have no escape. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and the wailing of the leader of the flock, for Yahweh destroys their pasture. The peaceful folds are brought to silence because of the fierce anger of Yahweh. He has left his covert as the lion, for their land has become an astonishment because of the fierceness of the oppression and because of his fierce anger. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came from Yahweh. Yahweh says, stand in the court of Yahweh's house, and speak to all the cities of Judah, which came to worship in Yahweh's house, all the words that I command you to speak to them. Don't omit a word. It may be that they will listen, and every man turn from his evil way, that I may relent from the evil which I intend to do to them because of the evil of their doings. You shall tell them, Yahweh says, if you will not listen to me, to walk in my law which I have set before you, to listen to the words of my servants the prophets whom I send to you, even rising up early and sending them, but you have not listened, then I will make this house like Shiloh, and will make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth. The priests and the prophets and all the people heard Jeremiah speaking these words in Yahweh's house. When Jeremiah had finished speaking all that Yahweh had commanded him to speak to all the people, the priests and the prophets and all the people seized him, saying, You shall surely die! Why have you prophesied in Yahweh's name, saying, This house will be like Shiloh, and this city will be desolate without inhabitants? All the people crowded around Jeremiah in Yahweh's house. When the princes of Judah heard these things, they came up from the king's house to Yahweh's house, and they sat in the entry of the new gate of Yahweh's house. Then the priests and the prophets spoke to the princes and to all the people, saying, This man is worthy of death, for he has prophesied against this city, as you have heard with your ears." Then Jeremiah spoke to all the princes and to all the people, saying, "Yahweh sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city all the words that you heard. Now, therefore, amend your ways and your doings, and obey Yahweh your God's voice. Then Yahweh will relent from the evil that he has pronounced against you. But as for me, behold, I am in your hand. Do with me what is good and right in your eyes. Only know for certain that if you put me to death, you will bring innocent blood on yourselves, on this city, and on its inhabitants. For in truth Yahweh has sent me to you to speak all these words in your ears." Then the princes and all the people said to the priests and to the prophets, "This man is not worthy of death, for he has spoken to us in the name of Yahweh our God." Then a certain of the elders of the land rose up and spoke to all the assembly of the people, saying, "Micah the Morashite prophesied in the days of Hezekiah king of Judah, and he spoke to all the people of Judah, saying, Yahweh of armies says, Zion will be plowed as a field, and Jerusalem will become heaps, and the mountain of the house as the high places of a forest. Did Hezekiah king of Judah and all Judah put him to death? Didn't he fear Yahweh and entreat the favor of Yahweh, and Yahweh relented of the disaster which he had pronounced against them? We would commit great evil against our own souls that way." There was also a man who prophesied in Yahweh's name, Uriah the son of Shemaiah, of Kiriath Jearim, and he prophesied against this city, and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. When Jehoiakim the king, with all his mighty men and all the princes, heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Uriah heard it, he was afraid, and fled, and went into Egypt. Then Jehoiakim the king sent Elnathan the son of Achbor, and certain men with him into Egypt. They fetched Uriah out of Egypt, and brought him to Jehoiakim the king, who killed him with the sword, and cast his dead body into the graves of the common people. But the hand of Ahikam the son of Shaphan was with Jeremiah, so that they didn't give him into the hand of the people to put him to death. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, this word came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Yahweh says to me, make bonds and bars, and put them on your neck. Then send them to the king of Edom, to the king of Moab, to the king of the children of Ammon, to the king of Tyre, and to the king of Sidon, by the hand of the messengers who come to Jerusalem, and to Zedekiah king of Judah. Give them a I have made the earth, the men, and the animals that are on the surface of the earth, by my great power, and by my outstretched arm. I give it to whom it seems right to me. Now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon my servant. I have also given the animals of the field to him to serve him. All the nations will serve him, his son, and his son's son, until the time of his own land comes. Then many nations and great kings will make him their bondservant. It will happen that when I punish the nation and the kingdom, which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, that it will not put their neck, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, says Yahweh, with the sword, with famine, and with pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. But as for you, don't listen to your prophets, to your diviners, to your dreams, to your soothsayers, or to your sorcerers, who speak to you, saying, You shall not serve the king of Babylon. For they prophesy a lie to you, to remove you far from your land, so that I would drive you out, and you would perish. But the nation that brings their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serves him, that nation I will let remain in their own lands, says Yahweh, and they will till it and dwell in it. I spoke to Zedekiah king of Judah according to all these words, saying, Bring your neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live. Why will you die, you and your people, by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence, as Yahweh has spoken, concerning the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? Don't listen to the words of a prophet who speaks to you, saying, You shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie to you. For I have not sent them, says Yahweh, but they prophesy falsely in my name, that I may drive you out, and that you may perish, you and the prophets who prophesy to you. Also I spoke to the priests, and to all the people, saying, Yahweh says, Don't listen to the words of your prophet who prophesy to you, saying, Don't listen to the words of your prophets who prophesy to you, saying, Behold, the vessels of Yahweh's house will now shortly be brought again from Babylon. For they prophesy a lie to you. Don't listen to them. Serve the king of Babylon and live. Why should this king become a desolation? But if they are prophets, and if Yahweh's word is with them, let them now make an intercession to Yahweh of armies, that the vessels which are left in Yahweh's house, in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem, don't go into Babylon. For Yahweh of armies says concerning the pillars, concerning the sea, concerning the bases, and concerning the rest of the vessels that are left in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon didn't take, when he carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yes, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says concerning the vessels that are left in Yahweh's house, and in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem, they will be carried to Babylon, and there they will be, until the day that I visit them, says Yahweh. Then I will bring them up, and restore them to this place. That same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year, in the 5th month, Hananiah, son of Azur, the prophet, who was of Gibeon, spoke to me in Yahweh's house, in the presence of the priests and of the people, saying, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 full years I will bring again into this place all the vessels of Yahweh's house that Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, took away from this place and carried to Babylon. I will bring again to this place Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah who went into Babylon, says Yahweh. for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to the prophet Hananiah in the presence of the priests, and in the presence of all the people who stood in Yahweh's house, even to the prophet Jeremiah, said, Amen. May Yahweh do so. May Yahweh perform your words, even which you have prophesied to bring against the vessels of Yahweh's house, and all who were captive from Babylon in this place. Nevertheless, listen now to this word which I speak in your ear, and in the ears of all the people. The prophets who have been before me and before you of old prophesied against many countries, and against great kingdoms, of war, of evil, and of pestilence. As for the prophets who prophesy of peace, when the word of the prophet happens, then the prophet will be known that Yahweh has truly sent him. Then Hananiah the prophet took the bar from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and broke it. Hananiah spoke in the presence of all the people, saying, Yahweh says, Even so I will break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, from off the neck of the nations, within 2 full years. Then the prophet Jeremiah went on his way. Then Yahweh's word came to Jeremiah, after Hananiah the prophet had broken the bar from off the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, Go and tell Hananiah, saying, Yahweh says, You have broken the bar of wood, but you have made in their place bars of iron. For Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, I have put a yoke of iron on the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and they will serve him. I have also given him the animals of the field. Then the prophet Jeremiah said to Hananiah the prophet, Listen, Hananiah, Yahweh has not sent you, but you make of this people, you make them trust in a lie. Therefore Yahweh says, Behold, I will send you away from off the surface of the earth. This year you will die, because you have spoken rebellion against Yahweh. So Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem to the residue of the elders in the captivity, and to the priests, to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, after Jeconiah the king, the queen mother, the eunuchs, the princes of Judah and Jerusalem, the craftsmen and the smiths, had departed from Jerusalem. By the hand of Elasah the son of Shaphan, and Jeremiah the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent to Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon. It said, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says to the captives whom I have caused to be carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon, Build houses and dwell there. Plant gardens and eat their fruit. Take wives and father sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters. Multiply there, and don't be diminished. Seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray to Yahweh for it, for in its peace you will have peace. For Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, Don't let your prophets who are among you and your diviners deceive you. Don't listen to your dreams which you have caused to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely to you in my name. I have not seen them, I have not sent them, says Yahweh. For Yahweh says, After 70 years are accomplished for Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word towards you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, says Yahweh, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you hope and a future. You shall call on me, and you shall go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You shall seek me and find me, when you search for me with all your heart. I will be found by you, says Yahweh, and I will turn again to your captivity. I will gather you from the nations, and from all the places where I have driven you, says Yahweh. I will bring you again to the place from where I had caused you to be carried away captive. Because you have said, Yahweh has raised up prophets in Babylon, Yahweh says concerning the king who sits on David's throne, and concerning all the peoples who dwell in this city, your brothers who haven't gone with you into captivity. Yahweh of armies says, Behold, I will send on them a sword, the famine, and the pestilence, and will make them like rotten figs that can't be eaten because they are so bad. I will pursue after them with a sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and will deliver them to be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth, to be an object of horror and astonishment, a hissing and a reproach among all the nations where I have driven them, because they have not listened to my words, says Yahweh, with which I sent to them my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them. But you would not hear, says Yahweh. Hear therefore Yahweh's word, all you captives whom I have sent away from Jerusalem to Babylon. Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says concerning Ahab the son of Koliah, and concerning Zedekiah the son of Maaseiah, who prophesy a lie to you in my name. Behold, I will deliver them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he will kill them before your eyes. A curse will be taken up about them by all the captives of Judah who are in Babylon, saying, Yahweh make you like Zedekiah and like Ahab, whom the king of Babylon roasted in the fire, because they have done foolish things in Israel, and have committed adultery with their neighbours' wives, and have spoken words in my name falsely, which I didn't command them. I am he who knows, and am witness, says Yahweh. Concerning Shemaiah the Nahelamite you shall speak, saying, Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel says, Because you have sent letters in your own name to all the people who are at Jerusalem, and to Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, and to all the priests, saying, Yahweh has made you priest in the place of Jehoiada the priest, that there may be officers in Yahweh's house for every man who is crazy and makes himself a prophet, that you should put him in the stocks and in shackles. Now therefore, why have you not rebuked Jeremiah of Anathoth, who makes himself a prophet to you? Because he has sent us in Babylon, saying, The captivity is long. Build houses and dwell in them, plant gardens and eat their fruit. Zephaniah the priest read this letter in the hearing of Jeremiah the prophet. Then Yahweh's word came to Jeremiah, saying, Send all of the captives, saying, Yahweh says concerning Shemaiah the Nahelamite, because Shemaiah has prophesied to you, and I didn't send him, and he has caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore Yahweh says, Behold, I will punish Shemaiah the Nahelamite and his offspring, and he will not have a man to dwell among this people. He won't see the good that I will do to my people, says Yahweh, because he has spoken a rebellion against Yahweh. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Yahweh the God of Israel says, Write all the words that I have spoken to you in a book. For behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will reverse the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, says Yahweh. I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they will possess it. These are the words that Yahweh spoke concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For Yahweh says, We have heard a voice of trembling, a voice of fear, and not of peace. Ask now, and see whether a man travails with his child. Why do I see every man with his hand on his waist as a woman in travail, and faces are turned pale? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he will not be saved of it. It will come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of armies, that I will break his yoke from off his neck, and will burst your bonds. Strangers will no more make them bondservants, but they will serve Yahweh their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up to them. Therefore, don't be afraid, O Jacob my servant, says Yahweh. Don't be dismayed, Israel, for behold, I will save you from afar, and save your offspring from the land of their captivity. Jacob will return, and will be quiet and at ease. No one will make him afraid, for I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. For I will make a full end of all the nations where I have scattered you. But I will not make a full end of you, but will correct you in measure, and will in no way leave you unpunished. For Yahweh says, Your hurt is incurable, your wound is grievous. There is no one to plead your cause, that you may be bound up. You have no healing medicines. All your lovers have forgotten you. They don't seek you. For I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the greatness of your iniquity, because your sins were increased. Why do you cry over your injury? Your pain is incurable. For the greatness of your iniquity, because your sins have increased, I have done these things to you. Therefore all those who devour you will be devoured. All your adversaries, every one of them, will go into captivity. Those who plunder you will be plunder. I will make all who prey on you become prey, for I will restore health to you. And I will heal you of your wounds, says Yahweh, because they have called you an outcast, saying, It is Zion, whom no man seeks after. Yahweh says, Behold, I will reverse the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have compassion on his dwelling places. The city will be built on its own hill, and the palaces will be inhabited in its own place. Thanksgiving will proceed out of them. With the voice of those who make merry, I will multiply them, and they will not be few. I will also glorify them, and they will not be small. Their children also will be as before, and their congregation will be established before me. I will punish all who oppress them. Their prince will be one of them, and their ruler will proceed from among them. I will cause him to draw near, for he will approach me. For who is he who had boldness to approach me, says Yahweh. You shall be my people, and I will be your God. Behold Yahweh's storm, his wrath has gone out, a sweeping storm. It will burst on the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh will not return until he has accomplished, until he has performed the intention of his heart. In the latter days you will understand this. At that time, says Yahweh, I will be the God of all the families of Israel, and they will be my people. Yahweh says, the people who survived the sword found favor in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh appeared of old to me, saying, Yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. I will build you again, and you will be built, O Virgin of Israel. You will again be adorned with your tambourines, and will go out in the dances of those who make merry. Again you will plant vineyards on the mountains of Samaria. The planters will plant and will enjoy its fruits. For there will be a day that the watchmen on the hills of Ephraim cry, Arise! Let's go up to Yahweh, our God. For Yahweh says, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and sing for the chief of the nations. Publish, praise, and say, The remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the utmost parts of the earth, along with the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her who travails with child together. They will return as great company. They will come with weeping. I will lead them with petitions. I will cause them to walk by the river of waters, in a straight way in which they won't stumble. For I am a father to Israel. Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear Yahweh's word, you nations, and declare it in the distant islands. Say, He who scattered Israel will gather him, and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahweh has ransomed Jacob, and redeemed him from the hand of him who was stronger than he. They will come and sing in the height of Zion, and will flow to the goodness of Yahweh, to the grain, to the new wine, to the oil, and to the young of the flock and the herd. Their soul will be as a watered garden. They will not sorrow any more. Then the virgin will rejoice in the dance, the young men and the old together. For I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them, and make them rejoice with their sorrows. I will satiate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people will be satisfied with my goodness, says Yahweh. Yahweh says, A voice is heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children because they are no more. Yahweh says, Refrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded, says Yahweh. They will come again from the land of the enemy. There is hope for your latter end, says Yahweh. Your children will come again to their own territory. I have surely heard Ephraim grieving thus. You have chastised me, and I was chastised as an untrained calf. Turn me, and I will be turned, for you are Yahweh my God. Surely after that I was turned, I repented. After that I was instructed, I struck my thigh. I was ashamed, yes, even confounded, because I bore the reproach of my youth. Is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a darling child? For as often as I speak against him, I still earnestly remember him. Therefore my heart yearns for him. I will surely have mercy on him, says Yahweh. Set up road signs, make guideposts. Set your heart toward the highway, even by way by which you went. Turn again, Virgin of Israel, turn again to these your cities. How long will you go here and there, you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh has created a new thing in the earth. A woman will encompass a man. Yahweh of armies, the God of Israel, says, Yet again they will use this speech in the land of Judah and in its cities when I reverse their captivity. Yahweh, bless you, habitation of righteousness, mountain of holiness. Judah and all its cities will dwell therein together, the farmer and those who go about with flocks. For I have satiated the weary soul, and have replenished every sorrowful soul. On this I awakened and saw, and my sleep was sweet to me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will show the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of animal. It will happen that, like as I have watched over them to pluck them up, and to break down and to overthrow and to destroy and to afflict, so I will watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh. In those days they will say no more, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone will die for his own iniquity. Every man who eats the sour grapes, his teeth will be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with Israel, and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which covenant of mine they broke, although I was a husband to them, says Yahweh. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their inward parts, and I will write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. They will no longer each teach his neighbor, and every man teach his brother, saying, Know Yahweh, for they will all know me. From their least to their greatest, says Yahweh, for I will forgive their iniquity no more. I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. Yahweh, who gives sun for light by day, and the ordinances of the moon, and of the stars for a light by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar, Yahweh of armies is his name, says, if these ordinances depart from me, from before me, says Yahweh, then the offspring of Israel also will cease from being a nation from before me. Yahweh says, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, then I will also cast off the offspring of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city will be built to Yahweh from the tower of Hananel to the gate of the corner. The measuring line will go further straight onward to the hill Garib, and will turn towards Goah. The whole valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes, and all the fields to the brook Kidron, to the corner of the horse gate toward the east, will be holy to Yahweh. It will not be plucked up or thrown down any more in the future.